You got a half mile before you hit the single track. Remember that gravel road is two-way traffic, both direction on your second and third lap. If you stay to the right, keep it up.
Should we be up there at all or no? Is it 40s and 50s?
Yeah. Maybe it's fun, man.
Yeah, might as well.
Whiteface, here we come. Where'd you get that GoPro one?
Yeah. Let's hope it stays on. Is this an if I break it, I bought it thing?
100%.
All right, 1 minute to race start.
Strava segment. I said Strava segment. I made it. Okay. Oh boy. Way to go, Ryan.
That was awesome. I don't see, do you see? Oh, that is Whiteface up there to the left because you see ski trails. Mm-hmm. I think it spans, does it span 2 mountains? You can see them. Wow, that's way up there.
Are those really ski lines?
Maybe not. Maybe the mountain to the left of that. So cool.
Wow, look to the right.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's cool.
That's just massive. I mean, for East Coast, these things are no joke.
Let's go. All right, this is just a quick video. I want to see Ryan's face when he sees the difference in weight between his Mac Daddy and my 50-pound stump jumper. So, all right, go ahead, Ryan, first. No, pick up yours first.
Okay, okay.
Feels heavy, doesn't it? You're like, oh.
All right, got it.
All right, you got it? Okay. Come on, over here. All right, let's see it.
Dude. Come on, you're inflating it.
I am not inflating it.
Inflating it.
This is how many pounds?
This is from NASA. This is 8.5 pounds right here. John should win tomorrow like he's on an e-bike. All right.
Let's go.
Conclusion video. 2023 Wilmington Whiteface. We just finished return to Wilmington from last year, and we want to do a quick video before we forget how bad we hurt. Oh, let me grab my stats too.
For some reason, there's this, like, we have emphysema right now.
So John and I have been training for Leadville, as some of you guys have been watching know, and this was our big compare apples to apples from last year race to see how our training's going and to get revenge for you, right? And an improvement for me. You want to tell your real quick story from last year?
Yeah, so last year I had good general fitness. We should drop that chart in just to let you know what it was. So I was a fit person. But I wasn't a bike fit person. So this guy always brings up these like, hey, you want to do this race in 2 months? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, why not? So I show up and I get 3 hours in and I just had cramps everywhere. Died, came back to life and finished in just under 8 hours, which was the official cutoff.
Yep.
So for me, this was sort of like, let's go back now, properly trained bike fitness.
Yep.
Which right now, if you said go run a 10K, I'm not going to be fantastic, but I'm ready for biking. So we were pretty excited to see what that was going to look like.
Yeah. And for me, it was a little different story. I had just under 6:30. I think it was 6:29.
Yeah.
Finished last year. Your brother came with us, and we were secretly competing the whole race. So kicked my butt last year completely. Definitely realized that, you know, the volume of training wasn't there to race something this big. So it was more of a, let's go out a little too hard, not understanding what we're getting into, and then turned into survival on the back half. I think at the turn last year, we were going off my numbers for race goals today.
Yeah.
I think we were 3 hours right at the turn, and I finished at 6:30. So kind of fell off on the back end. Of course, today was a little different. I'm going to make this abbreviated because we're running out of batteries, but we had no single track at the end, but we had extra single track at the turn. And we came out with a strategy today of starting out under control, right?
Yeah.
And trying to keep having watt targets and having heart rate targets to basically set us up to race the back half of this and to get there and kind of start the race after we do this big turnaround, because it's an out and back race. I think we met our goal overall on the day, but especially with our strategy. So we got to our turnaround, how many minutes ahead of time?
So we were probably 15, 20 minutes ahead at the half.
Cool.
And then we finished.
Yeah, we finished at 5:29.
5:29.
So we took an hour off my time from last year. John took half a day off his time. What was really cool was that we were in the place to be able to race the back half and make a conscious effort to push.
Yeah.
And then the way that the race kind of turned out, there's a single track section with, I guess you go into it with what, 5 miles left?
Yeah.
4 miles left, something like that.
Yep.
It's about a mile and a half single track. We were in there with another guy. It was the three of us kind of cruising around. You know, our tanks very close to empty, or at least speaking for myself, coming unglued a little bit, but we were able to stay on the gas. We get out of the single track and we're doing some quick math in our head, and we realize that we're about, what, 12 or 13 minutes out from the finish.
Yep.
And
about
we had two and a half miles. So, like, we got a shot at breaking 5:30.
And a little bit of elevation, right? Like a couple hills and a nasty headwind.
Yeah.
The wind was 11 miles an hour or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. So John and I basically just exchanged 1 to 2 minute VO2 max efforts, right? I mean, we'll have to look at the data.
Swap pole position so the other person could draft a little.
Yeah.
The workhorse was in the front, then I'd slingshot around, then Ryan would slingshot around. And then what's the funniest part is we're staying right now at this place, really cool cabin, A-frame, actually it's pretty cool. So, but we're like maybe like 1.25 miles away from the finish line. There's a biker right there.
Yep.
And as we come by, I look at my watch and it's 5:25. And it was kind of like a stretch goal of like, man, if we could do 5:30, that would be pretty badass.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it's 5 minutes away.
You got this.
And we absolutely destroyed it. I'm
Yep.
curious to see what our, you know, like, it would feel like our watts were like
Yeah.
through the
Our
roof.
tank
but-
was empty. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. So we each basically pushed a minute or two at the end until you just couldn't hold it. And then the next guy went, and you could kind of recover with some break in the wind. And we just kept doing that for really, we probably did 5 rotations each.
Yeah.
And we had another guy that was hanging on our wheel for about 10 miles. And then right after the single track, he pulled ahead of us. And then we hunted him down. He got back on our wheel, and we left him at the end and beat him, which was pretty cool because he never took a pull and helped us out.
So for me, it was 309. Yeah, 309, 275 to 309 watts for that
At the end.
last segment.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
So that was pretty cool.
A couple quick stats before we lose battery here. So I have 67.6 miles, 529.45. That's so freaking cool. 15 seconds. We broke that. I've got 5,200 calories burned today with a 12.3 mile per hour average. And I think last year I did like a little over 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So that was a solid improvement. Normalized power for me was 269 for 5.5 hours. I'll take that for me. Average power 240, peaked out at 1,000 watts. Intensity factor 0.81 if anybody cares about that. And I had 52 minutes plus 23 plus 18, what is that, 30. I had an hour 40, zone 4 and up. It was a solid day. Watts, that's watts. Pumped today too, so like legs are empty, I'm tapped. But zone 4 heart rate this year, 55 minutes zone 4 and about 5 minutes above that. Last year, I did the whole freaking thing in zone 4.
Well, I was an hour and 55 minutes zone 4 heart
Woo!
rate. But
Nice, man.
only an hour and, so I don't know if this is good or bad, right? Zone 4, I was like 60, oh no, there's 34, 50, an hour and 25 minutes zone 4 and up. If you can't see, I'm like shivering right here. So the one thing we didn't talk about is the weather.
Oh, yeah, it was
like
freezing.
we earlier in the week, I'm looking at the little smart machine temperature things, and it was saying it was like low 70s for a high. And then as the week got closer, the cold front moved in, and it was 44 degrees out here when we woke up. I think it was like 47 at race time. So we made some like last minute, you know, had like a little hat thing under our helmet, and I put this shirt on underneath here. That enabled us to change our nutrition a little bit. I guess we'll dive into that in maybe another video, but I think we nailed our nutrition.
Yeah.
I think we had watt goals this year, so it's kind of like, all right, well, based on our training that you've actually been doing, you know, and then we went back and looked at past workouts, we could kind of see, like, all right, I should be roughly there for that 30-minute climb, and we kind of nailed it. Yeah. Right? I think
100%.
we were on, and we both had our dark moments.
Yeah.
Mine was, I think it was the last climb is when I was starting to lose it a little. Yeah. And then we took a gel at the top of at the top of that hill.
Brought you back.
And then I think I kind of snapped back.
If we didn't do that, that would have been a bad ending. We couldn't have pushed like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so we hit about, I think we started out with a goal of 80 grams carbohydrate per hour. Kind of nailed that for the first 3. I know I fell off on that just because we didn't get as much fluid in on the back end.
Yeah.
So probably finished with more like 60 to 70 grams per hour, but I feel good. We carb loaded for 2 days.
That
big time.
I bet that made a big difference.
For sure.
That probably allowed us to not need to stock up on the back half.
Yeah, we were basically between
didn't
like 550 and 600 grams of carbohydrates for 2 days, so we've been eating our ass off.
Yeah, so I started with about 1.2 liters, whatever that is in ounces, probably 50 ounces in my Camelback, and then I had 25 ounces in my bottle, and that was all virtually finished at the turn, so 3 hours.
Yeah.
So that was like right what we thought.
Yeah.
and then we kind of like slammed some water, and then we grabbed our, I don't need to get our drop bags.
Oh, yeah.
And then we, I swapped out a bottle, grabbed a tube, and then I drank that water bottle on the big hill, reloaded, put but I don't think I drank but half of that last.
Yeah.
But we took
We were saved by the
2 or 3
temperature, I
gels.
think.
And yeah, that's what I was trying to say, is the
Yeah.
temperature really changed a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. No big crashes either. We each hit a tree, but at lower speed.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah,
about it, right?
I will say I was very nervous. I almost went into the forest on that. Like, do you remember? Like, so you're probably going like 30, 35 miles an hour.
Yep.
And it's sand. So as I was trying to go left, I was afraid to just turn because I thought I would just roll.
Yep.
So I just kept trying to and I was like surfing on the sand.
Yeah.
And then finally, right as the trees started, there was a little berm that went up.
Yeah.
Where all the like pine needles were sitting.
Yeah.
And I just like floated up on that
Yeah.
and then caught traction and went, phew.
Yeah.
So
There were definitely a couple pucker out moments, but
yeah.
nothing devastating.
Yeah.
Cool.
I almost took down a pine tree in the single track with this arm.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, overall, this is the most excited I've ever been on any race I've ever had, honestly.
For sure.
Because it was, we went in with a plan and we executed the plan. It was perfect. And because we had race-specific training, it made this race really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like...
Because we could race it. It didn't turn into survival. It turned into, let's make this mark, let's hit this goal, let's push to see if we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's fun.
The last 10, 12 minutes was
That was awesome.
And honestly, the single track, like it was, as we went into single track, it was, really, you could go back to the aid station. So an hour before finish, or 45 minutes, it was like, all right, dude, we got to turn this on.
Yeah.
Like if we're going to break whatever.
Yeah.
So from that point on, it was,
like the last 30 minutes of the race, basically. Yeah.
We got quiet. We didn't talk a lot. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Nice job, dude. Huge day out here. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll try to drop some of our stats either on this video or in a future video to come. And we have 2 months until Leadville. A little more than 2 months. Go time. Cool. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good day. Cool. Oh.